Stop. Do not scroll past this video. I want you to look closely at the black stone on your screen. This is basalt, one of the hardest rocks on planet Earth. Now, look at these vertical lines cutting through it. We are told by history books that the Great Pyramid of Giza was built by slaves using soft copper chisels and stone hammers. But copper cannot cut basalt. It would bend like paper. So, explain this. These lines are not chisel marks. They are feed lines. They are the signature of a high-speed circular saw cutting through solid rock at a rate of 1/10 of an inch per revolution. That is faster than a modern diamond drill. Tonight, we are stripping away the myths. We are not looking at a tomb. We are looking at a machine. We are handing you the evidence, from the molten granite channels to the wireless energy experiments of Nikola Tesla, that proves the Great Pyramid was a power plant built by a civilization far more advanced than our own. The investigation begins at the base of the Giza Plateau. If you walk up to the ancient basalt paving stones on the east side of the Great Pyramid, you will see something that shouldn't exist. You will see saw cuts that go deep into the rock. Some of these cuts show the distinct curve of a blade. Engineers who have analyzed the radius of these cuts have come to a terrifying conclusion. To make these marks, the saw blade would have to be over 30 feet in diameter. Who had 30-foot circular saws in the Bronze Age? Who had the power source to spin them? Mainstream archaeologists ignore this. They tell you it's just weathering. But the evidence gets even harder to ignore when you move to the underground tunnels of the Serapium of Saqqara. Here, hidden in the darkness, lie 24 massive granite boxes. These are not normal coffins. Each box weighs up to 70 tons. The lids alone weigh 30 tons. The insides of these boxes are cut with 90-degree angles so precise that a modern laser cannot find a deviation. The surfaces are polished like mirrors. You can see your own reflection in the stone. Why? Why go to this extreme level of engineering for a bull's coffin? You don't. You only need this kind of precision for one thing: energy containment. These boxes were not designed to hold dead bodies. They were designed to hold dangerous, high-frequency waste from the power plant above. But machinery needs power, and power needs water. Deep beneath the causeway of the Giza Plateau lies a secret that was hidden for thousands of years. It is called the Osiris shaft. It descends 100 feet underground into a chamber filled with crystal-clear water. Mainstream archaeology calls it a symbolic tomb. But look at the geology. The entire Giza Plateau is honeycombed with man-made tunnels and natural aquifers. The Great Pyramid wasn't just sitting on the sand. It was sitting on top of a massive hydraulic system. In the 1960s, an engineer named Edward Kunkel proposed a theory that changed everything. He argued that the subterranean chamber of the Great Pyramid was actually a hydraulic pulse generator. A ram pump. Imagine the water from the ancient Nile River rushing into the tunnels. It enters the chamber. It creates a water hammer effect, a rhythmic pounding shockwave. Thump, thump, thump. This vibration wasn't accidental. It was the heartbeat of the machine. This vibration traveled up through the solid limestone core of the pyramid, reaching the upper chambers. So you have vibration. Now you need a catalyst. In 2011, a robot explorer was sent up the narrow shafts of the so-called Queen's Chamber. For decades, we were told these were air shafts for the soul of the pharaoh. But the robot found something else. It found that the shafts were blocked by stone doors with copper handles. And behind those doors, it found traces of chemical corrosion. Engineer Christopher Dunn has proposed a theory that fits all the evidence. He suggests that the Queen's Chamber wasn't a burial room. It was a chemical reactor. He proposes that two chemicals, hydrated zinc and dilute hydrochloric acid, were poured down the northern and southern shafts. When these two chemicals mixed in the chamber, they created a violent reaction. They boiled, they hissed, and they released a specific gas: hydrogen. Hydrogen is the most efficient fuel in the universe. It is what powers the stars. And now the Great Pyramid is filling with it. The gas rises, it fills the Grand Gallery, it enters the King's Chamber. And this is where the magic happens. Look at the King's Chamber. It is made of red granite. This granite was brought from Aswan, hundreds of miles away. Why? Why not use the local limestone? Because red granite contains high amounts of quartz crystal, and quartz has a special property called piezoelectricity. If you squeeze quartz or if you vibrate it, it produces electricity. Remember the water hammer from the basement? That vibration is traveling up the pyramid. It hits the massive granite beams above the King's Chamber. These beams weigh 70 tons each, and they are tuned to a specific frequency. The whole room begins to vibrate. The quartz crystals in the granite begin to stress. They release a flood of electrons. The hydrogen gas in the chamber absorbs this energy. The atoms become excited. The entire pyramid begins to glow. Not with fire, but with microwave energy. It becomes a maser, a microwave amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. A massive beam of energy shoots out from the apex of the pyramid, piercing the sky. This sounds like science fiction until you look at the work of Nikola Tesla. In 1905, the genius inventor Nikola Tesla began building his masterpiece, the Wardenclyffe Tower. His goal? To transmit wireless electricity through the Earth to power the entire world for free. Look at his design. It was a tower situated over an aquifer. It was connected to the ground with deep iron pipes to harness the Earth's resonance. It is the exact same blueprint as the Great Pyramid of Giza. Tesla was obsessed with Egypt. He claimed he was receiving signals from the past. Did Tesla discover the secret of the Giza power plant? Did he try to rebuild it? Is that why his funding was suddenly cut, his laboratory burned, and his papers confiscated by the government after his death? Someone didn't want free energy then, and someone certainly doesn't want us knowing about it now. So, if the pyramid was a power plant, why is it broken? Why is it silent? Look closer at the king's chamber. The granite walls show signs of intense heat. There are scorch marks. The walls are pushed outward as if a massive explosion occurred inside. Maybe the machine overloaded. Maybe the chemical mix went wrong. Or maybe something from the outside destroyed it. Geologists tell us that 12,000 years ago, the Earth suffered a massive cataclysm. The Younger Dryas impact. A comet fragment hit the ice sheets. Sea levels rose instantly. Great floods swept across the continents. Imagine a tsunami of mud and water hitting the Giza Plateau. The water rises. It floods the subterranean chambers. It mixes with the chemicals. The machine shorts out. The pressure builds, and then boom. The power plant dies. The civilization that built it is wiped out by the flood. The survivors are thrown back into the Stone Age. Thousands of years later, the dynastic Egyptians arrive. They find these massive, silent structures. They don't know what they are. They see the empty boxes and assume they are tombs. They try to copy them. But they can only build with mud bricks and small stones. They worship the pyramid as a magical mountain, forgetting that it was once a machine that powered the world. We are left with the empty shell. The gold capstone is gone. The white casing stones were stripped away to build mosques and palaces in Cairo. The copper wiring was looted. We call it a tomb because we have forgotten the science. Today, mainstream Egyptologists refuse to test these theories. They refuse to acknowledge the scorch marks. They refuse to analyze the chemical residue in the shafts. They ban engineers like Christopher Dunn from entering the sites. Why? Because if they admit the pyramid is a machine, they have to answer the next question: who built it? It wasn't people with copper chisels. It wasn't a society that had just learned to farm. It was a civilization that mastered physics, chemistry, acoustics, and geology thousands of years before we invented the wheel. We are not the first advanced civilization on Earth. We are a species with amnesia living in the ruins of giants. Thank you for watching The Obscured Past. We are reverse engineering history. If you believe the truth is hidden in the stone, destroy the subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. Now, I have a final question for you. Do you think Nikola Tesla actually succeeded in recreating the pyramid's power? And is that technology locked away in a classified file somewhere? Let me know your theory in the comments below.